welcome back to Underwhelming Barrage. This is episode number 4. And for this week, we have the same cast as last week because Tyler begged to have his one chance at redemption over the same cast. Right, Tyler?
Definitely. That is exactly what I wanted coming into this.
He
Yes.
changed his camera to the dark cam. He's now in the dark room. He had glasses on not
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
ago. He is ready to go for this. Uh,
Yep. Yep. Okay.
Coming off of a second place PQ finish to our teammate Justin, actually, from KTOD. How do you feel, Tyler? Second place right after a first place.
Yeah. Double. Back to back finals tables. And only between was just playing Magic, so it feels great. After many months of absolutely nothing. Uh, we'll just not talk about that finals match. I definitely turned my brain off after semis, so we're all good. But finals tables is good enough for me. I'm happy with it.
Congrats. So for your second place, I'll give you 2 points. It might help you this week.
Oh, thank you very much. I will see how long those 2 points stay for.
Exactly. Let's see, Ian, has there been any PQs in the middle of nowhere that you've won this week?
I didn't win one. I did go to one. I went 4-3. Wasn't my best showing. There was a lot of Vader hate. I just kept running it back with Vader and just ran into a lot more hate this week, which is like to be expected. It was funny because after Minneapolis, I said to my team that no one should play Vader because there's going to be a lot of hate out for it, and I just didn't follow that advice and won 2 PQs with it. So I was like, "Whoa, you know what? When is it gonna happen?" And then
Well,
I
I
finally
mean, you
ran into
figure
it.
that
So.
the 5 good players in the whole state of Alabama probably knew that you were coming, so they were like, "Well, we just have to beat one guy," and I guess
Yeah, yeah,
it
and it
worked
was it
out.
was in Atlanta, so that was like a bigger,
Yeah.
not necessarily the middle of nowhere, so
So
there was a lot
players
more
who can
people there.
read. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that sucked the most though was that it was 103 people and there was no AC.
Oh my
Nope,
God.
I'm not going 4-3 there. I'm
Nope.
going home.
I would immediately go home. I would lose like round 2 and be like, "All right, guys, it's been fun."
Well, we
Yeah,
had three
we.
Bothans in the top 8, so I had to give the live updates
Oh
on what was
man.
going on to the team. So,
Yeah.
and then of course two of them lose in the top 4. They were on opposite sides of the bracket. They could have made it in the finals together. Neither of them had their invite,
Yeah.
and they still don't have their invites. So
Well,
Ugh.
congrats to them for top 8, and not so much for you, I guess, but not like you need it anymore, at this
it was a
point.
good time spending
Yeah,
spending time with people and
for
hanging out.
sure. Sonny, you're back this week. Thanks for coming back. You actually have a PQ this weekend, right? You didn't play anything last weekend, did you?
Yes, I did. I went to the same one that Tyler was at.
Okay.
That one was super hot. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I had been to this same store in February, and it was in the cold, but it's unimaginably
Wait, was this at Red
different.
Caps?
Yeah. Red
Yeah.
caps.
Oh yeah, Red Caps doesn't have AC, man. That place sucks.
They
I
do
hate
have
that
it.
place.
If
Yeah.
you stood next to the wall with the AC, it was fine. You sat and played in anywhere else in the room, it felt like dying.
So I've been to that because I used to live in Philly. So I've been to that store many times, and I refuse to go from the months of May till the months of October. That you just can't go to
Yeah,
that
That's
store
it's
funny.
during that time.
so hot.
Yeah. So, but before that, I actually went to a PQ in games and stuff, which is like one of our home PQs, and Ian actually came in and won one of those PQs, stealing it from our home crowd in January. And there, shout out to Ryan DeCreasy, who got his invite from our team. I
Yeah,
was also in
congrats to Ryan.
top 8, going undefeated and stuff.
Yeah, I think you were saying before the show that your team now has 8 of 9. Um,
Yes.
you know, with a day 1 bye for Galactics. I think you said Brian was the only one left, so he's
Yep. Just
coming.
one more remaining,
Yeah,
and he has his
he's
spot at
coming
West
this
Virginia.
weekend to my home store in Morgantown, West Virginia, to try to win, and my job is to make sure that that doesn't happen. So,
Yeah. And then our
Well,
team
he
will be
can come in the
splitting that.
finals with you and still get his invite. So I think he'd be
true.
happy
That's
with
true.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
And there'll
if
be
I
a few
make the
of us
finals,
there
it's
that
been
have
proven
invites.
that I will not win. So, someone will get a bye. CJ, I know you haven't played in any PQs lately. How's it going?
Nope, I feel great. I hate playing in PQs. I feel so good not having played in any. However, congratulations to Justin, right?
Yep.
KTOD winning an event, no collusion, right? Can't be any collusion in this one. Feels good for that.
That we
So,
know of. Tyler,
that
do you have
we
anything you
know
have to
of.
admit?
I played him in finals. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to worry about knocking Justin out. All right, I didn't have to.
I'm ready to get on Reddit and see like KTOD Justin tampers with air conditioner unit so that he can solidify PQ win.
Yeah,
Like,
congrats
Yeah,
to
I was
Justin
there.
on
That was
getting
kind
his
of
bye.
suspect that might have occurred.
Was he
Yeah.
like practicing in like a hyperbolic time machine of like just like the heat up and then just to
just
prepare
played
for
in,
that
yeah,
event
he was
and
just
then
playing in
screw over
saunas.
everybody else?
Just
Yeah.
taking his iPad to a sauna and just
Yeah,
jamming
just
games.
condition
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, but for real, congrats
Yeah.
to Justin. He's been grinding so hard lately with set 5. It's great to see him go back and play a set 4 meta on a deck that he's been playing since Minnesota. Like he played it in some side events there, really liked it, and decided to play it at the PQ and didn't lose a single match, the whole day, which is great.
Yeah.
So now we're at 6 of 8 for our buys. Mike somehow, didn't get a buy. I don't know how that happened, but I think he feels good about playing day 1 anyway. And then Maddie's left, so not so bad for us.
He almost had it at mini. Maddie did.
Almost, yeah, just barely missed it. Had to win his.
He
last
finished
round.
in like the 20s, right?
Yeah, he had to win his last round to finish in the top 16, and then he lost and finished like 25th or something like that.
Yeah, still a great showing for like how many events he actually goes to. I know
Yeah.
he's like always super busy. So
Yeah. Maddie's a family man, so it's hard for him to get to. Like he's played in like 1 or 2 PQs total in 4 sets now, and then he played in Richmond and Mini, so not so bad. But for tonight, we have 5 topics again, just to cover them briefly. We're going to be now that we have all of the world's prizing, we're going to be talking about how we feel about that. I know last week we talked about maybe some hopes that we had, but now that we have it all, we can discuss it. We're going to talk about art. It's been requested through DMs by more than one person that they want to hear our thoughts on the art for the game. We're going to talk about the new Trilogy format that was announced last week, the day after we recorded. We'll talk about our favorite aspects or best aspects currently going into set 5 or, even with set 5. And then we'll talk about, I handpicked 3 cards that I'll be saying when the time comes up. And we'll just, say if they're better than advertised, if they're not as good, or if they're about what we expected. So with that, we can jump right into the first topic, which is world's prizing. I'm actually going to start this one off, and I am not thrilled that there wasn't something really cool extra that was announced for the winner. I was hoping for like a vanity card or something different than what we have, like a champion stamp fader. But we didn't get that. So I'm a little bummed. I'm not totally bummed about the prizing, but I just wish that there was a little bit more. In fact, I think that the best prizes aren't even from playing in the event. Like those plastic bases are probably the best prize, and they're locked behind a $500 VIP. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Ian, I'll let you start this one off. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like the only thing that I noticed, which feels like it was almost like a shadow drop of a reward for the winner, was that they get invited back next year, guaranteed. I don't know if they ever announced that anywhere, but I noticed when I went to the article that it like said that for prizing.
It
So
was announced
Most I've
like
heard.
months and months ago, like on when Josh was still there on like an early stream, that the winner
Gotcha.
of Galactics would be invited back to the next one. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that was just like always implied, and I just didn't realize it.
Right.
That's like a nice thing, I guess. I think the coolest thing that I'm looking forward to, and I mean, I think a goal of any good competitive player would be like hitting that top 64 and getting the lightsaber pack. Um, I think those were really cool and unique. Like it has the galactic stamp on it. The art's done in a different style. That's like the kind of stuff that I was hoping to see more of throughout the prizing, where it's like very unique art piece that's different and awesome. It reminds me of like the sagas in Magic, which are some of my favorite art pieces in Magic, where it's like the art's like this horizontal piece instead of the normal like rectangle you get. Um, I thought those were really cool, and there's only 64 of them, and I think you get one of each of the lightsabers in that
One of
pack.
each. Yeah.
So it's like you always have like with the silver and black packs, it's still like a random pack that you're getting with like 2 cards of 10 or 12. But with the top 64, it's like you get one of each of them, and if you have 2 people who don't want it, you can buy 2 more and get the full set, and put them all in your Kylo deck or something, where you know discard them for value. I guess I don't know, but
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really cool prizing, and I'm sure they'll do something like that in the future for other galactic tournaments where you get like this cool, unique, like exclusive top 64 thing. I just wish you had that at like top 32, top 16, top 8, and like first it was a lightsaber pack, and then it's some other pack or whatever it is, and it just kind of you get more and more swag as you keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Sonny, what do you think?
Yeah, and then speaking of that lightsaber pack, I think they revealed all the lightsabers except for Revan's lightsaber,
Revens.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
For some
They
reason
had
that
a
was for him.
duplicate. I think they put in an extra like for the art slide. There was an extra constructed saber instead of the
Yeah,
Revan saber. Yeah. So we don't know the
I
art for that yet.
understand because constructed lightsaber is one of the best lightsabers, and it's a neutral one.
Right.
But yeah, Revan's lightsaber was missing. Um, so last week we talked about the base. We wanted the bases, and they added those, which is nice. It's unfortunate in how they added those, just given to the VIPs, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I like the addition of the deck boxes that they revealed for day 2 and then day 3, right? That was pretty cool
And
and
top 8.
unique.
Yeah, and the
And
day one buy people get like extra prizes
yeah,
too,
yeah.
which
Day
is pretty
2
cool.
is it? Does day 1 buy get a different prize from day 2?
Yeah,
That make it through playing in the main event.
Yeah, you
Day
don't
1.
get that deck box in the Obi-Wan mat, I don't think.
Okay, okay. So yeah, that was a cool addition for those that do have the day 1 buy. I like that. One thing I really liked, and I talked about last week, the prize wall structure and side events. All of that was posted, and it's really close to how the prize wall was structured at Lille, which was my favorite event for accumulating and grinding out those. Right? They revealed that the Vader and Luke are 5K each,
1,000.
and then there's going to be these 8-player pods that you get 300 prize wall tickets per match win, but it's just a best of 1 game, and then just 100 for entering. So you can, and it's 3 rounds, so you can get up to 1K per pod. And if you just grind, I guess 5 to 6 pods, and then you should be able to get that Vader and Luke, Vader or Luke showcase. So I like
Yeah.
that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, true. CJ, what do you think?
yeah. I mean, I don't want to be really negative, but man, I watching that stream, there was just so many things they were showing that I was just like really, like it started out good, right? We got the extra day 2 prizes, right? And I'm like, man, that's awesome. They give us an extra deck box and
The
mat and maybe
mat,
some
yeah.
sleeves. Like, okay, that's cool. Great way to start off. And then they were like just started showing like all the promos, and I'm just sitting there staring at them. I'm like, okay, nothing there was jumping out to me like, oh yeah, that's like extremely playable. I need that in every deck. Like I just I think about back to, and I don't want to take it back to all the old TCGs, but back in Star Wars Destiny, they typically made promos of just like playable staple cards, and those are ones that were worth the most money. Right? There was a card called Hidden Motive, I think it was called. It was like a removal spell for 0. Everyone played it. They just made a promo for that, and it was like the best promo, and they were worth a good chunk of money for a long time because it was just a good art, very playable, not foil. Like those are things they could easily just start doing, right? They could say, hey, everyone loves Poe. You get a cool looking Poe. Cool. Everyone likes, I know we get Vader in this, but it's foil, right? But you could do the same thing with Luke. Like everyone gets a 7-cost Luke, like non-foil, put in your deck. Like so many things like that they could have just done that would have been easy to do. And I just feel like someone there is coming at the prizes from a very casual lens, which I think is important for the prize wall, but they do need someone from a competitive side, even, and I'm not talking hyper competitive, the person who's going to sell the promos. I'm talking like that, the middle class of player that just wants those promos to put in their deck, right? And actually wants to use them and is there to grind out for those prizes. They need to do a little bit more for them. And I am that player, right? Yeah, I want to win worlds, but like I want to put all these promos in my deck. I
Yeah,
really want to, but I
something that
can't.
stood out to me is that there's these cool new like worlds frames for bases. There's worlds frames for the lightsabers, like all the promos. But something that we don't have any worlds frames for are leaders.
Yeah,
Like
no leaders.
the
Yeah.
one thing
Hey,
that we start and play with the base, and
yep.
there's nothing.
And you could do anything to that. You could make that thing
Yeah.
3D. You could build it so it looks like an action figure. Like
Dude.
you could do anything you
Yeah.
want because it doesn't go in your deck. But
I'm
instead,
telling
we
you,
have 100 mats. You get
they're
100
just
mats.
worried about the secondary market for showcases. They don't want to touch it. I don't know
Cares.
why.
Yeah.
I don't know
know what you're
why,
saying,
but that's the only explanation.
It is.
they
It
could have.
is. But that's
Yeah.
messed up because like at least Magic pretended the secondary market didn't exist for a long time.
Yeah,
Right?
Tyler,
Like,
what
Still
do you think?
say that they
pretend.
don't. In
I
fact,
know, that's what, but at least
Yeah.
pretend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
mean-
thought the game would be concerned about that when they were approaching the Boba and Django bans, but they still banned them anyways.
Exactly.
That's a
Tyler,
good point.
your thoughts on
I think,
Uprising?
yeah, pulling out from your, discussion, like the cards are not unfortunately like super playable. There's like a couple in each of them, and I think as like Sonny pointed out too, like for the lightsaber pack, I think it was a great idea. But Constricted Lightsaber is the only card really that's you're going to expect to see play in that pack. I really wish they just took all the ones we've seen before in the past sets. You don't have to do all of them from set 5, but just some of the ones like General's Blade, is there. Darksaber, like we just
is
got
Darksaber good?
Oh.
Or like Fallen Lightsaber?
like
Giant lightsaber?
yeah, like
Come
we
on.
have so many options of like cards played in the past. If you just put those in a promo pack, people would be over the moon. Like I think to tangent down into the topic we're gonna have later for art and stuff, like the art quality has now reached I think the average for myself where like I'm okay with this. I think I don't necessarily care about art on cards and promos and stuff like that. I like art on mats. I like the scenic arts, and a lot of the play mats we're getting are very nice, and or we can have the option of going to get. I think they're gonna be very nice, and that's what I'm happy with. All the Star Destroyer mats and things like that. I think it would be great. But man, I just wish any of the promos they picked, and it's a common thing that's apparently been for this entire year. All the way back from the Showdown promos. After we had Mace Windu for the first Showdown until nothing, like Legal Authority into we got nothing. They're starting to turn around. Devastator was great, but it's kind of just does nothing now that the only deck that could play it is now gone. And
Well, I guess you're not a
I
Boba
just-
4 believer. Okay.
hey, TDR kind of fucked that over too. Let's be honest.
Can we talk about the art on mats though for 1 second? Because there's two big things I think they're missing out on. One, none of the mats, right? They did so many, none of them have the zones on them. Right. I'm not saying you need every mat to have the zones, but you just introduced a new zone for the Force token. You could have done something so cool in like a special mat that had like this is your Force zone or whatever. And we don't even have any like to Tyler's point, there's no landscape ones, right? There's no like, oh, this is Yavin 4 or this is like a cantina.
Yeah.
They're all just like, hey, this is a Star Wars character that I heard you guys like. Oh, this is like a card art I heard you guys like to play. Like it's very just lackluster in my opinion. Like
I think
whoever
like
the
the
creative
Mortis
design
Gods
is
was
in
like the only one where it wasn't
That
like
was
an.
cool.
but that's a
Those
copy.
cards.
That was a Destiny mat they already had.
Yeah, they
Oh,
just
was
kind of
it really?
well, they kind of
Yeah.
altered it somewhat, but
It's
it's like the
barely.
same design, like same kind of art.
It's almost
well,
identical.
well, let's just use that.
They've
to
reached the
segue
average.
into the.
I think they've reached the minimum average,
like
and I
the
think that
art.
now we have to push up.
Yeah, sure. Tyler, take it away with the art. Go ahead and start this one off. What do you think about the art overall?
Cards, see, like when I'm playing with all the cards and stuff, my take is kind of bland in this aspect, but like I could not care what the art on a card looks like as long as it's not like it's from Fortnite. As long as I'm sitting here and I'm not going to get fucking boogie bombed, or whatever shit thing that now I have to deal with in Magic. I just care that it's just in universe and it's just somewhat thematic. I don't care at all what the thing is. But playmats though, I fucking love landscape art. I love big collages and things. I like the collages they did for the promos. For that art looks really nice for the they did for the few cards in the promos packs, the silver and blacks. But I would just want like we can get planets, just like planet landscapes, or I love the Star Destroyer landscape. I just want just more of that.
I mean, they even have like the bases that are landscapes. That's art that
Yeah.
you already commissioned. Just put the art from those bases onto a
playmat,
playmat. Deep
yeah.
Palace is one of the best looking bases out there. Put that on a
The
playmat.
acrylic bases, the arts for those look amazing. They look really good.
Yeah, they look crazy good.
Just
Ian, go ahead
nice,
and carry
big,
on
blown
your
up.
thought about art. Go ahead.
Oh, was this,
Ian.
did you say to me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Tyler was still talking, man. He's this loudmouth over here.
Cut him right off.
So passionate.
Yes. so so I think the art's gotten better for sure. I mean, I think that they stopped giving that one guy who did like the bamboozle and the Han face, like they asked him to stop doing faces, I think. Um
Oh no, he still has faces. They're still in this set. They're just
Well, maybe
not
they're
as
just
bad.
asking him to tone it down or something. Because
Yeah.
I feel like he was doing it on purpose with at least the Snap Wexley card. Um, but yeah, no, I think overall, like the art's gotten better. I never like didn't like the art though, mostly because I just thought it was like creative in a world of like Star Wars has kind of always looked one way, and a lot of the art pieces in this game don't necessarily have that like same side type of theme that like normal Star Wars art has, or what you've seen in the Clone Wars. Like that's a certain art style. Um, I really liked that they had a bunch of pieces of art that had kind of had different styles. I know some people want it to be more cohesive. To me, it doesn't really matter as long as it looks cool. I think the best thing that this game has always done, though, in terms of art, is the ships. Like the ships always look fantastic. Um, so I always look at like what's the cool new ship, and unfortunately, there's like barely any ships in this set because it's all a force set. So not really much to
No,
comment on there.
there's
But
whales. There's flying whales.
yeah, but they're not ships.
Eh, they're in
They're
space.
space units. They're not ships.
Yeah, you can't pilot them.
Yeah, it's true. I think the showcases that we've seen so far have all looked phenomenal. Like the Revan, the Barris Offie.
Yeah, the
Um,
Kylo from today looks really cool too.
yeah, the Kylo looked great. Even the Ahsoka one, I think we've seen. That one looked really good. So I'm always impressed with the showcase art. Um, especially when it's like a strict upgrade. Like the Han One showcase is just so much better than the Han One art. That
Yeah.
I always like seeing those. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely gotten better.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sonny, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the art has gotten better, and I like that there's just so many various different styles within just the arts on the base set cards, and then even like the promos that we have. One thing I don't like is the promos being textured and a little bit different sometimes in the foiling, because that just makes your deck inconsistent when it comes to tournaments and a liability sometimes. But the art has for sure improved. I think that that we're talking about with the Han faces is still making cards. He might be the one
Yeah, he
that
is.
has the It's Worth card, right?
Yep.
Which has the funny face on it. One of my favorite, looking at the art, one of my favorites is the action shots that are on events in the set. So if you look at something like Xian Flurry, that art is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Um, One negative that I would say, and maybe we touched upon this last week, I can't remember, is the art has gotten quite good overall, but they sometimes attach really good art to unplayable leaders, and that is undermining the value of that art, in my opinion. So the Revan
That's a good
leader
point.
is an iconic character, and the art is so good, but the card himself is not that
Oh,
playable
we
in
have a
general, right?
Revan hater.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
CJ, your thoughts on art? What do you
Yeah,
think?
so yeah, I'm not a big art guy. Like, I don't really care what I'm playing. I do like to have a fancy deck though. Like, I always want the best promos and things like that. That's more of like a, I don't know, that's something I've earned right through playing, and I like showing it off. However, what I will say, I spent the last couple weeks opening Magic Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy cards that they came out, and boy, like they just have it down to a science on how to take cards. And yes, players like I don't know what percentage don't care about the art, but it's probably a decent amount, and so they just really lean into the outside perspective of like, what does the broader audience want for art on this? Like, even the non-players, what do the casual people want? What do the collectors want? And like, they really lean into it, and they create a market for it, right? Because they know what they're doing. They had pixel art cards off the video games, right? They had some full arts and a bunch of different framing. And we are playing a Star Wars game. There are so many medias that it's in, right, that they can draw from. They could have like Luke from a video game, right, like one of the pixel ones from one of the Super Nintendo games just being on one of the cards, right? Like, how cool would that be, like as a promo, right?
Yeah.
Something unique, something different. Like, there's so many opportunities they have, and they just haven't taken any, right? It just feels like they're like, hey, draw what Revan looks like. Okay, thank you. Like,
Yeah, but
it's
I
boring.
also I kind of disagree a little bit because I see them making strides, especially when they released this like the droid pack. for the next convention set and even the previous
Yeah,
convention
but those
set.
colors don't even match the car. It's just like I don't
Yeah,
know. Those are
I
Yeah,
awful.
but
I
I
don't
have
even
to
want to talk
agree
making
about
with
those.
making
CJ on
strides
that
with a
one.
lot of different art styles is what I'm saying, and
Yeah,
pulling from a lot of different content somewhere. So
yeah. The
Yeah.
I
like
mean,
the
they have the World Between Worlds art frame that would be like
yeah,
perfect for that kind of
right.
idea, right? Where it's just like literally a different universe. It's pixel, like you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
It's pixel art. Put it in the World Between Worlds art
Just
frame.
just look at Lorcana, what they do with Mickey Mouse. Never a playable card in that game, and the promo sells for like
yeah.
$3,000 every
Or
time.
just take art from the Lego Star Wars games and have
Yeah,
like
perfect.
promos,
they
like
could do that.
Lego
Yeah.
Star
Ooh,
Wars
Legos,
promos.
you say?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
that would be sick. So yeah, so that's the art conversation. I agree with all those thoughts. Like going back to the lightsaber packs, just real quick. I think that their intention slash design maybe was to not even care that they were playable. They just wanted cool looking cards. So I don't.
And a cohesive theme
Yeah,
too.
the
Yeah,
dark saber is
right.
not cool. What?
Sure.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So let's move on to the trilogy format that was announced last week. So if people weren't aware, I'm sure they are by now. But it's you bring 3 decks. They can't share cards. So as in you can't have more than 3 of any one card. Between all 3 decks. Your opponent bans one before the match starts, and then you have to win with each of your decks. So first one to win two, 2 out of 3. I love this format from other games that I've played it in. Hearthstone had it. Final Fantasy does it for their like worlds. Uh, Lorcana's doing it for their worlds. It's a really cool format that really tests someone's skill at like the top level. So I think it'd be really good for worlds. But as of now, they said that it's just casual. So that kind of put a huge damper on it for me. CJ, I'll let you start with this one because I know you have some takes. What do you think
Yeah.
about trilogy format?
Thank God. Thank God it's casual. Man, it is so boring. It's the most boring sub game. And it's just, oh boy, it's not fun, right? I know you said Hearthstone did it. I know they did. I don't know if you've ever watched any of those tournaments, but it's like this guy has these 3 exact decks. This other player has the same exact 3 decks. Now, which one do you ban? Well, the meta is to ban this one. Like, it's so boring. It doesn't make it more diverse. It doesn't. I know people have it in their head that it does, but it really doesn't. It just the best players will find the best 3 decks that don't share the most cards and are the best strategies in the rock paper scissors meta that hopefully is there, and then that's it. Like it becomes a little sub game, and honestly, I don't think it's a very good experience to play in having to lug around 3 decks and have that little sub game happen before the game of the banning and all that stuff. And like, nah, I'll pass on that format. If you make me do it, like maybe I'll think about it, but I really rather not. Like if we need to add more things to the actual worlds, let's play some limited, right? Like
Yeah,
Magic has
draft.
done
Yeah.
it for years, like draft or sealed or whatever. But like to my opinion, like a limited's fun. We'll stay there.
Yeah.
I don't need to play this new format.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think about the trilogy format?
I am going to become, right, everyone's worries about Trilogy. Oh, no, no ban list, eternal, rotation. Don't worry, people at home. I will be your hero. I will be going to Galactic Championship. I will be playing Boba Yellow and Django Tarkin Town. I will personally get those cards banned again. But you better believe it. On that Friday that everyone's played day one, I will be in those 8-man pods playing Trilogy. And oh man, sure, ban my Boba, and then I'll play Django, which is probably the more stronger deck. And then, it's whatever. I'll play the third deck. It'll be whatever my actual deck for the event will be. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to be playing Boba again. I'm going to be playing Django again. How could I not hate this, For the small time I get to play Boba Fett with Cunning and Cantina Bouncer.
Spoken like a true rock player, as we described last week. Ian, your thoughts on trilogy?
I mean, I think it's a cool concept. I enjoyed it in Hearthstone. I do kind of see what Chrono's saying, that there's like a little bit of this like, oh well, it's the same type of metagaming that you have with any other format where the best players figure out the best things and the same things will happen every single time and it gets solved pretty quickly. I think there's a part of this that casual players actually will like more, and maybe that will help grow the game, which is that if they just hate playing against Sabine, they can just ban it every time. And I think that is actually something that's really nice to just have as an option for people, and maybe that will get more people into playing competitively and grow the game. But they didn't make it a competitive format yet, so like that kind of is a moot point. But like if it gets popular enough that they want to make it into a competitive format, I could see that like more casual people will be like, all right, I don't ever have to play against hard control fatigue or whatever, right? Like there's only one vigilance deck. I'm just gonna ban the vigilance deck, and then they'll feel better about playing the game. Um, that obviously is just also like a part of like their own self-balancing issues. Like if you have cards that are making people feel that way, maybe you should balance the game a little bit better and not have those cards exist. But overall, I mean, I don't mind like having the extra cards or having the extra decks or whatever. I'm excited to try it out. If people like it enough, we're thinking about maybe trying it out at Beatle as like a side event for the next Beatle that we
Oh,
do.
good side event. Good.
Well, we'll try it
I-
out.
Yeah.
As it grows, maybe we can make it a bigger event. But there'll be more Beatles in the future anyway. So
Yeah.
maybe it'll become a main eventer. Who knows?
It's going to have to start off as a side event thing. Like, there's no way they could have came on stream and be like, all right, this is going to be the main format going into season 1 of thing.
I think that's what
There's no
happened
way.
to Lorcana, though. I'm pretty sure. I'm not a Lorcana,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure they're
Yeah,
all
but to
very
be
angry because
fair-
they just made it up for their world
Yeah, they're
championship.
like,
To be
hey,
fair, though,
Then people are just gonna, if people don't like it, they're gonna really fucking don't like it.
Oh, I
I
don't-
think
yeah.
this is the safer way. Include it as a side event. If people start to like it, they even said on stream, if people find it interesting, they will do
Ty-
organized play for it.
Tyler, you're giving credit to a company that had to make its own multiplayer format. Right? They
Yeah,
designed the
I
game
will.
with like an extra format in like because they didn't trust the community to build it
Yeah.
themselves. Like that.
That's
crazy.
true. Sonny, what do you think about Trilogy?
Yeah, I have a few different takes here, and I think that the release of this format is kind of like a double-edged sword. I don't know if a new format was needed immediately when we already have stuff that we're trying to get popular in terms of draft and sealed and Twin Suns, right? But that being said, I understand that they wanted to bring a new format to kind of pilot at this big event that's the Galactic Championship. So it's maybe a good place to test it out and see if it gets popular. I do have a few issues with the format. I think that one, as you guys mentioned, if doesn't have any competitive support, it's just going to fizzle. And the other thing is, they have that rule of 3 cards or 3 copies of a card across the 3 decks, right? It's a little suspect on whether, so if you're playing like Waylay in one deck and another deck, do you really have 3 copies of Waylay or more across the across the decks, right? So it's kind of hard to control and manage, and maybe then you got to deck check if it's a competitive format consistently if you do something like that. So that is somewhat of an issue. And the other thing is, I can support this format if it's so they said that they're going to have an internal format, and if this is their eternal format, and then they fully commit to it being the eternal format, then I think then we can support that and play it as the eternal format competitively. But then if they have another eternal format, kind of conflicts with that. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean, what
that's-
if that is
that's a great
the
point.
solution for their eternal format, though, right? Because
Yeah.
that's like the way that you can balance the really overpowered stuff that got.
Exactly.
I'm not against it.
No, and Ian, that way you have to have 3 showcases. They're
Yeah,
propping up the
exactly.
market.
We'll just
Yeah.
win
Exactly,
them at
man.
regionals or sectors. Duh.
Uh,
So let's just move into
Wait,
the
you
next
expect
topic.
that to continue on into season 1,
Of
dude?
course.
We'll see. They haven't announced anything.
Well, Ron loves it, so we'll see.
No, I know.
But
I
so the next topic here is your favorite or what you feel like the best aspect combos are coming into set 5 here and with set 5 testing. For me, I'm just going to say blue green hero because I love that combo. I think it's still great. We gained Kelleran back along with some other cards for more value, and I just think it's going to be strong. Ian, what do you think?
Oh, you're not gonna give us all 3? All right.
Hey,
yeah.
it's
So
your choice, man. Like I like blue green. My second one would be blue green hero, and my third one is probably blue green hero.
okay, so my top 2 are blue red hero and blue red villain. I just think like Force Throw is a really good card, and they made a bunch of really good blue cards and red cards this set, and they all have to do with the Force. I don't know which one I like better right now, but those are my top two in general. I think they're pretty much almost on an even playing field. I think that a lot of the blue-red hero decks are good against certain things, and the blue-red villain decks are good against kind of like the decks that beat up on the blue-red hero decks, but probably lose the blue-red hero. At least that's how I felt about it. And then maybe the last one would just be red-green hero. Just really been liking a lot of that. There's like I don't even know what leaders to choose for a lot of these decks because there's so many options.
Yeah.
But just like you said, Keller and Beck's an all-star. That card's so good.
Yeah,
And
Kiadi
obviously
Mundi,
Kiadi
Force
Mundi that
Throw,
we've
yeah.
talked about. Yeah, I just kind of want to play Kiadi Mundi as much as I can.
Yeah.
And Force Throw. So
Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I think anything you slap heroism into any color pile, and you're probably doing fine. Coming into any of your casual play. Of course, then if you're going to tune it up, I do think that green heroism, specifically, blue green heroism, but I also, of course, blue red heroism. Not biased at all from Han 2. But I also have been enjoying, just blue villainy as well, and blue green villainy, but not necessarily Kira. Playing other kind of styles like aforementioned Kylo, but that also could be played in blue yellow villainy, which I think is also kind of very interesting to set. The yellow villainy cards, unfortunately, I don't really think have a space for themselves, but I do think in the classic mid range blue shell they do fit out quite well.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Earlier today, I was building a new deck, and I have all these cards in there, like the uh, Terran Terran creature, like the 5/5 ambush thing, and like Eighth Brother and Maul, and I'm like, man, this would be the sickest Boba deck. And I'm just like, sadly, there's no home for like a deck that I want to build like this. So,
Don't worry, it's already being built.
you
It's
talking
going to
about Boba
Vegas.
made me think about that.
Trilogy. Yeah.
CJ, what do you think about the current color aspects?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to come to a surprise for everyone, but I think it's red green heroism for me at the moment. And that's not just Sabine. I think it's already been said, but Force Throw, Kiadi Mundi, I think is the most broken card we have so far. Keller and Beck's in the green. General's Blade, right? Although that's not a heroism card, it basically is because it only works on a Jedi, right? So I think that right now seems to be my favorite. However, I have been fooling around a lot with Blue Red Villain as well, having a lot of fun with that. One that I've been really disappointed with is Yellow Villain. I was hyped for Yellow Villain, I really was, and I've tried it in so many different shells.
what happened to your Snoke deck, dude?
I love my Snoke deck. Okay, Ian, I love it, but man, it just like I don't know what it's missing, but it's missing something. And I think it is the leader, right? I think it is that like villain yellow leader, right? Because like that's the color you want to be in so that you have access to ECL and some of the more powerful bases. Yeah, you have Cad Bane, and that's cool, but that's a very specific deck. That is a very specific thing. And if that's not your style, it's kind of boring. So definitely where I'm leaning right now, and I hope we get some more support.
It's a very obvious hole. We banned 2 of them already. I think it's gonna when we come rotation and the hole
true.
gets fixed.
We also have to remember that they designed this set with those both being legal, I think. So
Yeah.
like
Obviously.
they
This was
didn't
made
like
years
print
ago.
another one that was like on par with them because they were like, well, we can't make one more powerful than these.
But did
guys.
we deserve Grand Inquisitor? Did we deserve that?
No, not at
No,
all.
no, it should.
Yeah, they needed something else in yellow to kind of bring it
Grand
back.
Inquisitor's probably gonna be a limited all-star though.
Probably. Sonny, what
Just
do you
like
think?
People said that about
uh,
Jin, and she wasn't
Yeah.
even a limited.
Yeah,
all-star.
She was
color
not good.
aspects.
She wasn't even good. People said that. That was so
So
funny.
I think you guys answered it. The number one combination to me was red green heroism. But just so that I have like a little bit more input here, right? So my take is that a lot of the cards that were the greatest in the set are neutral cards within any given color, right? So within just black, you have Dark Tyrannus, Heroism, Daughter, Grogu. Those are incredible cards. Anakin is
Daughter's busted.
neutral, right? So that kind of opens up either going the hero or villain path if you're in a specific color, or being able to pilot any different color with these powerful neutral cards, white or black, right? And that I also want to separate out that green heroism and red heroism, as you can package them together, and that can be incredibly strong, right? You get the Kiadi Mundi, and then you get Kelleran Beck, Obi-Wan, uh, Gungi, right? Or you can just use them as a supplement to the other colors, right? So red, yellow heroism, that got stronger because red heroism is stronger. Blue green heroism is stronger because green heroism is so strong. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
no, I mean
takeaway.
that's I agree with all that. I mean, again, all memes aside, like I do still like blue green hero, but I think that red green hero, as mentioned, mainly Han too, but there's other leaders that that can do it, maybe not just as well, but differently. But it's just a really really good color combo. So we'll move
444
into
that
the
draws two
last
cards is
topic.
good, I heard.
Yeah, yeah, drawing two outside of your regroup is very good. It turns out. So
Should
I
become the Kiadi Mundi podcast because
yeah
I feel like we talk about him every week.
every week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I
gotta
didn't
The best
catch
think
them a
card.
few
the
times. Just
card,
catch
The
them.
best
Chirrut,
card.
So let me
right?
grab my
So that's a
handy
real good
dandy
example of a
notebook
neutral
here. Yeah.
card. Chirrut is an
Oh,
amazing
sure,
neutral.
yeah.
Sure, it's
Yep,
great.
sure,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, you
great.
mentioned him. So let's talk about a handful of cards. So I pulled three cards, and there's one for blue, one for green, and one for yellow. Um, I left red off because it was going to be Kiadi Mundi, but I'm like, well, everyone will just say he's broken. But let's start with Darth Vader, the new legend Darth Vader, blue villain. So what do you think, Tyler? We'll start with you. So as good as advertised, not as good, or right what you expected?
All right. Unfortunately, I feel like this card will never, hit as advertised because when we all first saw it, I think everyone's thinking that this is the best card in the set by far. It's gonna be the best thing ever. Hey, if you give it ambush, it is the best card in the set, easily by far. I think it's still good, closer to what on expectation. If you can do other things, if your deck and your leader, something like Kylo, where Kylo is just like you're trying to just stall and then play the Kylo thing where you didn't spam out. If you just play out Vader and they now have to deal with the exhausted Vader because otherwise next turn it's just going to go and kill two things, that's good. If it's your main top end finisher thing and it's like the answer and then you do nothing, the card sucks.
CJ, what do you think, Darth Vader?
Yeah, all right. First, I'll say this card is great, right? In a very specific shell, right? It has to have ambush, right? It has to have ECL, timely, or was it
Shin
Sheen
Flurry.
Fury.
yeah, Sheehan Fleur. Yeah. It's gotta have one of those three pieces. If you don't have those, or Piet, right? I guess you can have Piet.
I was just gonna say that. I was like,
Yeah.
you forget my boy Piet.
Yeah, I don't forget them. If you don't have those pieces, the card becomes much worse, much, much worse. And honestly, the biggest problem I have with the card is its extreme negative play experience, right? It's like, here, oh man, it's like resource 8. Avar Chris is coming out, ready to go. Let's go. Time to take the game over. It's like, oh no, they just have Timely Vader. Okay. Well, that was fun. I'm glad we played this game because it just kills everything. It's not even like Poe Wrecker can be a negative experience, but even that is a limit, right? Even that has a limit to what it can kill. And Vader just kills whatever. The idea that it kills a leader, that's insane. Like, I think the card would still be good if it just said kill a shielded non-leader unit and ambush.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
think
think
you
it's
still would play it.
I think it's really rude that they put it into the Power of the Dark Side colors
Right.
because Power of the Dark Side wants you to play more than one guy, but Vader punishes you when you have two big guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's I think the play pattern that's like the really unfortunate thing because you're damned if you do, damned if you
Yeah.
don't.
Why? If this was a red villain card, I'd be jazzed.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it would fix a bunch of broken, like, and broken not good, but broken like they don't have the cards to play, like red green villain, right? It would
Yeah.
fix that shell and you could actually play it. But they put it in the, hey, Kira, have another piece. And it's like, why?
Yes. So instead, the red villain Vader was in set 4, and it's hardly
Exactly. And
worked
it's awful. Yeah.
at all. Sonny, what do you
Come
think
on.
about Vader?
Yeah, so this card to me is even though it's very similar to Wrecker, right? It's also dissimilar in the fact that Wrecker has always been used typically as a game ender, for the most part. or the top end, this is kind of like a stabilizer, or you're turning around the game, right? You're trying to come back from down 2 units to now a board where you're maybe 1 unit to their 0 or equal units, right? I also think this is balanced because of the stat line, right? And sometimes you can wall the ambush by playing like a turret with a force, right? So then they have to either just pop that turret, or decide if they want to not kill the turret and pop something else, right? So I think it's a good card, and it's still, in my opinion, overall the best card in the set. I know that maybe a lot of people have hype on Kiadi Mundi, but I don't think it's like a crazy card.
Yeah. Ian, do you have any more thoughts on Vader? You chimed in earlier.
Yeah. So I think the only redeeming quality of this card is that it has 6 health, so that Luke finally can kill a Vader. It's the only Vader in existence that Luke can kill, and I'm very thankful for it. I've been playing a lot of Luke's,
No,
and
he can kill your Vader just if you don't put on a ship,
okay, sure, yeah, Leader Vader,
right?
yeah,
Isn't he a
you're right.
6?
I meant
Mhm.
the unit Vaders,
Yeah.
like
Oh, okay.
historically, like both the set 1 and set 4 Vader,
We
like
have
Luke
7,
couldn't
yeah.
kill,
Right.
which it's just
Hmm.
funny that they made one that he can kill. Um, and that's been a great play pattern where, like, if you just hold a Luke for after they Vader, you get to have a clean follow up and you have a guy. But I mean, it's still a blowout. Like, they're killing 2 things. It's a 2-for-1 always. I mean, usually it's 2 cards from their hand. I've mostly seen people play it outside of ECL, mostly because the 25 HP is kind of a death sentence against certain decks. Like,
Mhm.
Vader's not doing much against space decks, so I've played a lot of Vader decks in preparation as well, and I found that against certain decks they just dodge the Vader because they just never give you a ground ambusher
Yeah, the
after, like,
ambush. Yeah.
it's kind of similar what you can do to Sabine sometimes, where you just never give them a target for Wrecker after a while, and now that's just like not a card they can play unless they just want to like play it as a naked 7/6, which is like sometimes fine, but like doing that as Vader is like way worse because it's not only less power, there's no overwhelm, you're shielding one of your opponent's units, which can backfire on you. Um, so there is some like weird tension with that card that are, I guess it's kind of interesting. Like, I'm glad it's not just overpowered for overpowered sake. Like, there is some playability to counter it, but you can't really do anything about it if you just have 2 big guys on the ground and then they just have the ambush.
Yeah, the
So
ambush, and it's just kind of blowout. So the next card is Keller and Beck. CJ, what do you think about Keller and Beck?
I mean, yeah, Keller and Beck's broken, like absolutely broken.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a better U-wing in a lot of decks, right? Mainly because you can use Han 2 to make it cheaper. You can General's Blade it to make it cheaper. You can Jedi Counselor to make it cheaper. You can do all the you can even sneak attack it. Like, there's just a bunch of silly things you can do with the card. And I think it's just a better U-wing in most situations. Especially because later on in the game, it's basically like home one, where you can, if you have more resources, you can make the next thing even less, right? So you can play something even larger. You could play like a Luke off of it, right? If you have enough resources. So it's definitely one of those cards where I think it's really good. It's an uncommon, right? Or something really silly like that.
yeah, all the
Um,
best cards in
yeah,
this game are uncommons.
It's
yeah,
unbelievable. That part is unbelievable to me, because I don't want to play sealed and play against this card. I don't want to do that, but it's gonna be pretty common, I guess. So
Tyler, what are your thoughts on Keller?
I think he's just good. CJ kind of put it straightforward. It's going to be great in any show that can cheapen him. Like, you're just doing the home one thing for a turn earlier. But you can also hit stuff just not necessarily from discard, so you don't need to have any setup beforehand, like playing Han 1 with it. So
So do you
it's just a
think
good card.
he's better than you thought at first, or probably about right on par with what you expected?
I think right on par. I think everyone was going into it. You knew exactly what it's going to do, and it does exactly that. Like,
Yeah.
everyone knew it was just going to be a cheaper home one, and it does it.
Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a little different than saying that it's a cheaper home one. Um, the 7/7 in space for home one is a really big part of why that card is really good. Decks like Quinlan like can't really deal with that card, where Quinlan can just play a Han unit and kill Keller and Beck, and then you lost a lot of like the stats you got from playing that card. I do think though generally there's like a cool play pattern with Kelleran where it's like, if you know if you've been like looking at your cards, looking at your resources, your discard pile, and you know like how many of X cost you have less, you can figure out like what's the best chances of getting a certain card in your top whatever. What is it, 7, right? Because it's just 7 for 7. He looks at
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so like you can try to figure out like the best. Like, do you want to try to get a 4 drop? Do you want to try to get a like? Do you just always get a 3 drop? Like, or do you try to just hold him for the late game and try to get like this really big thing? You can't plan with him as much as you can with Home One. Maybe that's just my experience with playing Han One with Home One, where like I'm purposely defeating certain resources with Han One to guarantee like a Falcon in the bin when I play the Home One, and things like that, where like you could kind of have increased consistency there. But obviously, just on rate, he's busted. And if you ever play him early for some, I mean, God forbid you resource cheat in this game. If you do, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So,
Have you ever played sneak attack at Keller and Beck to find a Maz to hit for 9 or whatever,
oh yeah,
and then use your
Or, yeah.
Qui-Gon to bounce?
yeah, use your Qui-Gon. Yeah, it's gross,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Sonny, what do you think? Pretty much
So the
right.
best thing
What you like
about Keller and Beck to me is the curve with Keller and Beck, right? And the stat line. So that 7/7, 4/7 is that gets another 3, right? Is just insane for 7. And then if you do it at 6 in Han, you get a 7/5 plus a 3 with maybe a good effect, right? There's nothing in the game that does that actually, right? So if you use U-Wing, if you were to play like Han 1 and then go to 7 and then play a U-Wing, you're still not going to get a 7/5 plus a really good 3, right?
Yeah.
So that's broken. That's busted. And then adding to the curving out with Keller and Beck, you can follow up a Keller and Beck with the 8 like Yoda after already getting 2 units, right? And then trigger Yoda, blast the board, heal, and then if they can't deal with that, you just do even more than that the next turn, right? Or followed up with Home Worn, some other 8. It's insane.
Yeah. No, he's pretty crazy. I agree with all that. So the last card to close out the episode is Aura Singh. This is a card that got a ton of hype at the very beginning, but I feel like I really haven't seen her in hardly anything. Is it because of the traits? Is it because maybe she's only good in CAD? What do you think, CJ?
Yeah, I mean, it suffers a similar problem that Sundari Peacekeeper suffers, but it doesn't have the restore, right? And also the butt's a little bit smaller in that you play it, it's cool, you get to attack. Hopefully you have initiative and you can attack first, and you kill something. Because if that's just hanging out there with one attack on the battlefield, it doesn't like enable you to do a lot of things right on defense with it after it, and it just has felt lackluster, which is sad, because that would be a card that would fill a hole in strategies that I would want to play, right? Like I've been trying to play Bosk yellow since Bosk came out, and I was like, oh man, can we do it? Can we finally get? No, we still can't get there, and it's just a little bit too weak, I think. I think you're right. In a CAD strategy or something that's taking advantage of its types, it's very powerful, or it can be at least. But it's I don't know. It's something strange with the stats. It just hasn't felt good enough.
She just needed the force tag. She's force sensitive somewhere in the.
Oh, if she had a
world.
force tag, yeah, we'd be talking
just
different.
needs it.
Yeah, you're playing that
Tyler,
over
what do you
Kylo
think?
for sure.
I think the card is great. I think it's still amazing. I think it's great. It's going in Boba. I think the issue, though, is just the yellow ability aspect. I think just yellow ability there's so many new great cards for this aspect, but man, there's just no leader to run it. Like, the idea is even if it's a 1/4 and they trade into it, like the deck that's going to do into that is an aggro deck. You want the aggro deck to swing into it? No, otherwise it's just going to free trade. And even still, then you're just still trading even off. Like my 3/3 is still going. It'll bounce, and I get to swing and kill your 3/3, or I can kill in the next thing you play afterwards. I think the card is great. I think it's just really good. I think it's just shackled by, the regret of banning 2 yellow villainy leaders.
Yeah. Ian, what do you think?
Well, I think that we should ask Alexander the Greatest, your teammate, because I know that he's been in the Cad Bane aggression KTOD thread, saying that he's been playing this deck a bit for set 5 and trying to figure out where the Sabine matchup is
Yeah,
at.
is Alex
If
cheating
anyone
on
could
Han?
offer input, That'd be great. No, he does this every single set. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I think he just trolls the CAD players every set and asks them how the Sabine matchup is. And I saw that he posted that today, and I was dying or yesterday, and I was dying laughing.
He hasn't asked me a single thing about that.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
not a real ask.
no,
It's just so
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, he has actual Sabine players in team chat. And he's like, let's
Yeah.
go to this thread instead, just to troll
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, someone posted it in our like BN team thread and was like, "Is he being serious? Why doesn't he ask Chrono or like someone else on his team who's played Sabina, like Justin, a lot?" And I'm like, "No, guys, this is a joke. He does this every set because he's trolling the CAD players."
I don't even think he's
But
trolling.
I think that's what FFG is doing. That's why I brought this
Yeah.
up. Is FFG is trolling the CAD players. They give them like this little tiny bit of like hope. Like here's this card that looks really good on paper. Like on paper, this card is insane for a 2-drop, and it just still like isn't enough. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like Cad Bane does this thing where a bunch of people are like, "Oh, Cad's such a good match or such a bad matchup for me. Cad's such a bad match. I don't know how to beat Cad." And then you give it like a couple weeks, everybody figures out how to play against Cad Bane with their new deck, and then he goes back to like tier 3 or tier 2 really, not tier 3. But like I always just feel like he's just always a little bit not there.
You just
Personally.
draw all three McClunkies and you'll win.
Well,
Yeah,
right. Obviously you have the
exactly.
high rolls.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Or
mean the
or
only deck that this card's
Yeah, or
playable in is
blasters.
really Cad, unfortunately.
Yeah. I agree. Sonny, what do you think?
Okay, so Tyler said this card is really good, right? I also agree that it's actually this is the second best or best 2-drop that we got in this set. I think if you consider Gungi a little bit better, maybe because it's just like a 2/5 Jedi, maybe it's maybe that one's better. But this is
The
it's a
2/5 is
1/4.
100% better because the
Yeah,
2/4s can't trade into it, and she still trades with the 2/4.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So Aura Singh, the one thing that's awkward about her is the hidden on turn 1 doesn't really make it
Doesn't do
impact that much.
anything.
Yeah, when there's already 4 HP on the unit.
Yeah.
But it might make an impact if you like try to go wide later on in the game. So play like a 2+2 with Aura Singh, and then they can't kill the Aura Singh with something that hits for 4, ambushes for 4, right? Um, that itself makes it pretty good later on. It's I don't know why it's as a turn 1 play has hidden, but maybe because they thought about that later on for going wide, it's pretty impactful. But like Tyler said, this can fit right into some of those internal decks that were broken with the villain yellow style in the past.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with her. I think she's probably at home somewhere, but
yeah, but hitting raid 2 right with that 1/4 stat line, amazing to me.
Yeah.
I just feel like in this set though, like if they didn't print a bunch of 2/4s, I would agree with you. If every deck had a Battlefield Marine and that was the best card they had, this card would be insane.
Yes,
Well, I
But
think
it's
like if
just
you
not.
put it in the context of Cad Bane, right? You're already pinging and then you're swinging, right? And you're actually like just trading. Straight
Who
up.
does that against
Yeah.
Cad Bane? You just pass.
I think
Yeah.
Tada's right though. It's the types. Because like if
Yep.
this was a force unit, it'd be in a million
Yes.
decks. And it would actually help
Oh yeah,
archetypes.
I agree.
And like the best thing you can do as bounty hunter is like untap a Toro, which is kind of cool with hidden later in the game, right? And it can wear a blaster really well. It's basically just like a pseudo crafty smuggler later in the game, right? Or elite, right? This does the same kind of thing. But I think it's just there's not a shell around it right now that can really maximize it.
No,
That's
I've
true.
been
It's
pretty
only Cad
disappointed
Bane.
with Hidden in general, to be honest.
same.
Yes, 100%.
Oh
So-
yeah.
So with that, I'm gonna give Tyler 1 point. So there is a
For that, oh, yeah?
for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
oh
For the
yeah.
oh yeah.
Four-way
Yeah.
tie.
Stupid.
So you're all winners. And in fact, because Chrono said that I was right, I in fact have won the show, and we'll use my time, my FaceTime, to just do a quick shout out to Tim, Titanic, Claire from the McClunky team for all the hard work with streams. I want to shout out Frank from Bothan Network, Ian for the work that they do on their side, coming to all the events. They're always there in force. Shout out to them. Sonny from Team Secrets. I don't know who your team dad is. I assume it's you. So Thanks for all that you do with the streams, the podcast. And then finally, I wanted to shout out my boy Bobby Sapphire, Mike, and the KTOD team for the constant work that they do for their, group, their Discord, YouTube, and everything that they do to just try to make the game better. So that's going to be it for this episode. We have 4 winners, but I'm the real winner today. And we will see you guys for episode 5 next week.
Comments are gonna go
Bye.
insane with this
See ya.
ending.